Hello, friends, and welcome to Binge O'Clock, the podcast where we watch something and then we talk about it. I'm Joy Selden, and I've seen almost everything.
I'm Danielle, and I've seen almost nothing.
And here we are again to talk about Robin Hood, Men in Tights,
Woohoo!
our Gallivant intermission, where a little bit of house cleaning up at the top. We are going to stay bi-weekly for the time being, just because it makes life a little easier right now.
Bi-weekly being every other week, because
Yes.
Did you know, Joy, that bi-weekly in fact has two meanings? Because
I did.
Our language is just that cruel.
I took that chance anyway. I'm a rebel, dang it.
We will not be recording episodes twice a week. That would be monstrous. We are recording episodes every other week.
Who do you think we are? The McElroy boys? Can't do it.
Okay, so every other week.
Every other week for the foreseeable future. Most likely for the rest of the Gallivant season, sure. And and then we'll kind of see where we land after that.
Yeah, TBD.
Yeah, TBD. We still haven't decided on season 5 yet. Season 5, oh my god. We'll see. We'll see what happens with that.
This is going well, Joy.
Yes, I am.
We're off to a great start. Great
for
start.
whatever is happening. This
Well,
is great.
it's okay because I think that our level of silliness is going to be pretty perfect for the level of silliness that we encountered in this movie.
That we inflicted upon ourselves. Yes.
Like you have to be a little bit silly when talking about this movie because we're not going to sit here and seriously analyze this film. Like, it's just not happening.
Other people have done it. I'll put it that way. There are other people who have taken sort of a fine-tooth comb to Mel Brooks.
Really?
I don't necessarily know why, because it's comedy in its purest form, which is mostly, joke after joke after joke after joke.
Joke after joke after joke, and I think maybe 40% of the jokes are ones that I don't really understand, but that I understand are meant to be funny.
Sure.
Like, for example, let's just jump into it.
Sure.
Why was the mafia boss from Jersey holding a lizard? Anyone?
Actually,
what is this a reference to? And why is that funny?
That is one I actually don't know.
There we go.
Honestly,
I need to read the critique on this movie.
Maybe it was to make the intimacy joke that they made, which was, your lizard seems rather limp.
Yes, but is it just the alliteration, though? Like, it would have been, it's only funny if the animal's name starts with an L. Your lizard seems a little limp. Otherwise, it could have been like your cat, your dog.
No.
Your rabbit.
The joke is not about the lizard. The joke is about the man's level of virility.
Well, yes, but what I'm saying is that the man's level of virility could have been referred to with any animal. No?
Right, but that's the
that is the animal?
Yeah.
What?
Have you never heard men say to each other, "Hang on, I need to drain the lizard"? Things like that.
No.
Really?
I've heard but not lizard. Something else. Like a pipe? Not a pipe. Like.
Clearly, we're not hanging out with the same men.
Clearly. I am going to
maybe,
go.
You know what? Maybe it is the alliteration. I never looked into that. I don't actually know. We've gotten off topic.
I, Danielle, don't think I understood 40% of the jokes in this movie, including, by the way, the lizard joke. You know what? What should we start with? Should we start with the disclaimer, Joy? Let's just get the not fun part out of the way. And then jump into the fun part.
Yeah, so this movie was made in 1993. This movie is also a Mel Brooks film, which, if you're familiar with Mel Brooks' body of work, he loves his satire, and in my opinion, he's not afraid to push the envelope on a couple of things. Usually, his jokes have a certain level of depth to them that I don't think a lot of other people fully appreciate. However, with this movie, I feel like 1993 was a very specific time and place. You compare this to something like Blazing Saddles, where I think Blazing Saddles hit the comedy a lot easier and more efficiently than Men in Tights did.
Okay.
And I don't know if that's because Richard Pryor was involved or anything like that. But, like, other people have gone into more depth. All I will say is there are definitely jokes in this that made me uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah.
And some of that is because of the very specific time and place of 1993, being in this weird, like, in between of, you know, hip hop is becoming mainstream. And a couple other things are, like, coming mainstream, and people are starting to talk about a couple other things.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to say. It's sort of this point in time where people were all of a sudden more comfortable talking about things,
right,
without having any real knowledge of them. And all of a sudden, things were allowed to be talked about on, you know, in TV shows or in movies. But no one was being very particular, about how those issues were being discussed. So here it is. There's the not fun part. It is very obvious that this movie was written, produced, whatever, in 1993.
And I have a list of what did I even call it? Did I just call it the 1993? Like the 1993 shine? I might have just called it 1993 shine. I did. Hashtag 1993 shine. Look at me. So I have a list of things that made me uncomfortable because of 1993, and we'll see when we get to them.
I would like to guess how many items are on this list.
Oh, okay, sure.
Is it 12? That was a nice round number. Should I go lower?
I think you should go lower. What's funny to me is, like, there's stuff that bothered me, and then there's stuff that was like, I mean, I guess you could make that joke, but there's like an umbrella over several jokes. So 12 might be right for all I know.
12 might be right if we counted the individual jokes.
Yeah.
And if we counted all of the things that were, like, not awful, but also not great. Right. Like, I feel like it would be very easy to hit 12. Mm-hmm. What do you have on there? Like, then, like, 8? You said go lower.
No,
like,
I have
4.
about half. I have about half of 12. I have about 6. I have about an umbrella. But again, these are like...
So it's like there were 3 different transphobic jokes made, and they're all under the same umbrella.
Basically. There is, in fact, I will say, there is an umbrella for the LGBT jokes of, like, the trans jokes, but also the gay jokes, and also...
Okay. Well, that's a very big umbrella, Joy.
It's a big umbrella because, let's face it, they're all the same joke.
Right.
Because in 1993, there was, like, barely a difference. And we know much better now. You know what I mean? Like, this is where I'm getting into the, you know, was I uncomfortable by... I mean, there's stuff that no one should be doing. Okay? Yeah. Like, not even put in a Mel Brooks thing. For example, giving Robin Hood the chop.
Yeah.
We shouldn't have been doing that, and we should have known better in 1993 that we shouldn't have been doing that. I understand why, because it was a topic of conversation that people were talking about, and for those of you unfamiliar, in the sports ball, the Florida Seminoles, I believe it is, they have what they call the tomahawk chop cheer that they do, which, if you're imagining a very, you know, sort of stark, superficial stereotype of the indigenous and the sound that they would make and the music they would do, that is it. And yes, you can internet yourself, you can look it up. They do this.
Maybe don't. They do it in the film.
Yeah.
So did that one go in its own little category?
That one, yes. That one is by itself.
That one's very special.
That one is in a room all by itself.
Okay.
I mean, I could just run down the list right now. It's not as long as you think.
No, I mean, well, I'm okay. Up to you. Up to you.
No,
I was like, or we can let it come up in convo. Okay, so yes, the chop was very bad.
Yeah, the chop was bad.
All of the LGBT
all by itself. Every
okay.
single joke about tights goes under the LGBT thing. Every
the only
single
tights joke I will allow
is the getting out of our women's clothes.
No, was the fact that they took the pantyhose out of eggs.
Oh,
yes, that was fantastic.
That's funny.
That's a good tights joke.
That's a good tights joke. It was solid, and those eggs were so big because of dude pantyhose, and I loved it. They were so big so that the camera could pick them up. There was definitely a transsexual joke about balls being removed that I did not like.
Mm-hmm. When what's her face was making the potion.
Yes, and there was there were just so many gay jokes.
So many. Okay, so that's one umbrella.
That's one
umbrella.
Chop.
That
fat
makes two.
jokes. The fat jokes get their own umbrella.
Oh, Broomhilda, come now.
Now, when I was younger and not really, knowing any better, I laughed along with everyone else. I'm pretty sure that actress is wearing a huge fat suit.
Oh, is she?
She has to be wearing something because the last, if I'm not mistaken, A League of Their Own came out before this movie, and she's in A League of Their Own.
Oh, I've seen that, but I don't remember much.
That's fair. But she's one of the baseball players. Like, she is not a very large woman.
Okay,
is what I'm getting at. She's she's a little on the bigger side, but like she's not huge. Mm-hmm. And not that she can't be. It's not that she can't be huge. So
they have her in a fat suit.
She has to be in a fat suit. I don't think that actress is that big. That's the thing. That's what I'm saying. It's like not only is she portrayed as a very massive person, which is fine, she could be, but they're played for laughs. This is always the problem, and I want to make that clear to our listeners. I'm like the John Candy school of comedy. If you're John Candy and you're big and your jokes aren't about the fact that you're big, that's great. Mm-hmm. Be big and be funny.
Mm-hmm. Right. But don't be the butt of the joke, or don't make that the butt of the joke.
Don't make your weight every single joke in the thing you're in. Like it's so 1993. This might be mean, but I did just put Dave Chappelle there. But here's the thing.
Just like as his own little category. So
as his own category.
We're not going to put him in the transphobe category.
We're not putting him in the No.
We're not putting him in the transphobic. Okay, not yet.
It's too early in his career. No, here's why. Look, we're not going to talk about it a lot, I don't think, because you can do your own Googling. I have since stopped watching anything Dave Chappelle is in and stopped watching all of his comedy specials because I don't think his comedy is very funny on the transphobic topic there. I said it, and that's it. That's all I'm going to say about that. But the reason I put Dave Chappelle here is because I don't think he fits this movie very well. I think he's just kind of there, and he's not fully integrated. Like, I also understand that the point of his character is that he's a little bit fish out of water, and he's mostly feels like he's there just because he's there to make the street jokes from 1993 as a black man. Mm-hmm. And I don't like that. Like, Blazing Saddles didn't do that. Like, you had a black cowboy, and he was amazing. I saw that one. It doesn't integrate as well as I want it to integrate.
Yeah, and listen, I have a very similar perspective on Dave Chappelle. I don't watch his comedy anymore.
I definitely used to.
And I was going to say, and he is a talented comic, right? And this film is doing nothing with his talent. Like, they literally could have dropped, this is so terrible, but they literally could have dropped like any other person into that role.
Yeah.
And any other person would have been able to spit out the lines that they gave him exactly in the way that he did.
I know.
Just so underutilized.
I know. I just felt I felt like he was just very it didn't mesh. It didn't mesh for some reason. I don't know what happened. Like, there was just kind of this disconnect, and he was just there.
there.
So that's sort of the reason he's on the list, because it felt like you had to have a black comic in that role. And I was just like, okay.
Are we at 4?
We are currently at 4. I wrote down the Pepe Le Pew of it all.
What's that referring to?
It's mostly referring to people just wanting to get with people who are uninterested. And I don't like when that's used for comedy.
Yes. Okay, I didn't understand the connection to the
fair.
skunk. But
Well, because Pepe Le Pew will never take no for an answer.
it was really off-putting in this movie, though. Like, it was a lot, and it was intense, and it was multiple times.
I know.
It wasn't even just once.
I know. It's too...
Not that just once is okay, but...
I know. I mean, do I like that you didn't just have Sheriff of Rottingham thirsting after Marion all by himself and you had another woman thirsting after Sheriff of Rottingham? Do I like the dynamic? Sure. But it went a little far. It went a little far. And it was very uncomfortable to watch in this, our year of our Lord 2022.
Oh, the scene where he catapults through the air and lands in What's-Her-Face's bed. I had to pick up my phone and look at my phone.
Oh, no.
I was like, I'm going to look at my phone for like 3 seconds. What if I open up Stardew Valley because they finally updated the mobile app and I want to see what it looks like for 3 seconds?
Right? Oh my God.
Which, by the way, they did. They updated the mobile app. It was exciting.
Did they?
Yes. And you can play the beach map on your phone now.
And that's all you wanted to do during this particular scene for no particular reason.
No particular reason. Okay, good. I'm glad you mentioned that as one of your set.
It bothers me because I thought these jokes were very funny as a child, but like it's not. It just didn't age well. There's just nothing about it that should have, like, we shouldn't have made this funny.
No, and it's so hard because when you're a little kid and you're watching something like this, you don't understand the gravity of what's actually happening.
Right.
I think and I'm imagining, because I didn't see this movie when I was a little kid, but I'm sure that if I saw this movie as a little kid, I would just see it as like sort of like the same way that I would see a person tripping and tumbling over funny. Like, exactly. It's just physical comedy because my kid brain wouldn't really understand what was happening there.
Yeah.
But when I watch it as an adult, it hits different.
It just completely hits different. I have a whole separate category for the desert jockeys, which I'm of two minds about. Okay.
It could have been way worse.
It could have been way worse. Because this is the thing. I like that it's there because it's a subtle enough joke that if you don't get it, you don't get it. But like this is, in some ways, this is very peak Mel Brooks. Because that is the kind of thing that you would look at and you would be like, yeah, it is ridiculous when you do the exact wording of, a slur that you're looking at, right? Like, that's the kind of satire he's usually very good at. Okay, yeah. And I don't know why. I don't know if it's just because, I don't know, we're like in a post 9/11 era and like all the things that have happened with, the Western Asian countries lately. And I'm just like, maybe we just don't need it.
Yeah, what if it just wasn't?
Maybe I just don't need it. And then the last thing is the hip hop stuff. I didn't need any of it.
No.
I didn't need any of it.
Okay, so that's 6, right?
That's 6.
Okay. Do I actually have more to add to this?
Wait,
I probably do.
Wait a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I can't count. It's 7.
It's 7.
Do you have more to add? Or do you now want to go through the movie and add as we go? Okay.
Let's say we have 7, and as we go through the movie, if we find other things that don't fit under the umbrella, we'll add them to the list.
Sure.
I mean, I kind of already, off the bat have, 3. Which maybe we can create a separate category for, mildly racist jokes. And by mildly racist, I do just mean racist.
Because there's no such thing as mild. Yeah, that could be number 8.
Number 8, racist jokes.
That 100% could be that. So Robin Hood Men in... So here's the thing. The opening of Robin Hood Men in Tights is very Mel Brooks. Mm-hmm. This is exactly how a Mel Brooks movie opens. Because most of it is making fun of, like, Robin Hood overall. You know, like, they're picking and choosing from other Robin Hood movies that have come before, and they're satiring it and making it funny, right? Mm-hmm. I believe... I'm not as familiar with all the Robin Hoods as I should be for this podcast, but I believe it's the Robin Hood Prince of Thieves that opens with all the flaming arrows.
Oh.
And so what Mel Brooks does is opens with all the flaming arrows, which of course inevitably get onto the villagers' houses and start to burn things down. And the villagers are like, every time you film a Robin Hood movie, we have to rebuild. Yep. Like, that is peak Mel Brooks, like peak.
And I wasn't upset at it. I liked the opening. See, if we kept
a good
that
joke.
Opening and then just like highlight, delete the hip hop exposition, I would have been fine with that. Did I need the hip hop exposition?
I really want to know who's watching this who is completely unfamiliar with Robin Hood. Because that's who that's for, right?
Oh, that's who the exposition is for. I mean, I guess like the only piece of the exposition that we really needed was why is Robin Hood out of town, right?
I guess, but then you said that
he explains it like 3 seconds later. He says, "I was off in wherever fighting.
I was off fighting the Crusades with King Richard."
He says it like 6 minutes later.
I know.
So highlight, delete the hip hop exposition. Blech.
Yeah, it bothers me so much now. I think the only reason the reason I found it funny as a kid is I like the dichotomy of having the hip hop with the very, what we think of as classical sort of, the hey nani nani parts. They go from hip hop dancing to very classical dancing, almost like ballet or modern dancing, and then back to hip hop. And that in and of itself is funny. Like, to have those two opposing things, especially in 1993, nobody would have thought a hip-hop dancer also did these other classical dances. Which also is
mushed together in one song.
Which is also BS, because 100% hip-hop dancers can do other forms of dance.
Clearly.
It's funny because it's like, I don't know if it's offensive or if I just didn't need it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, maybe I just didn't need it.
It's like, does it reek a tiny bit of minstrelry?
A little bit?
Yeah. But...
Tiniest bit.
Okay. We're going to put it in the ooh category. Not the same category as the chop, which is like X. No. I'm going to put a sneeze and a chew in the ooh category as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, of course. He goes into this dungeon. I mean... I do love the dungeon part.
Yes.
I love everything about the dungeon. I love the warden. I love the maitre dungeon.
Yes.
Who introduces himself as, I think it was Falafel, so that one's a little...
not great, yeah.
Not great. But, like, him as a character...
Most of the names. You know what? The names go in a category.
The names go in a category all by themselves. Blinken, his blind servant, goes in a category all by itself.
I was going to say, Joy, the ableism around Blinken goes in number 9. That is category number 9 right there.
I know. But yes, so what happens in the dungeon of, like, I love the idea of an industrious, like, dungeon manager.
Yeah.
who thinks he's running a hotel. Like, I'm really here for that.
You can't be seated without the proper attire.
And he puts on a beard, which obviously comes, like, it doesn't even try to, like, hit his chin. Like, it obviously hangs too low. That part loved, hands down. I also love when he speaks Arabic to the fellow torturer, I guess, or fellow guard. And he goes, what did he say? He goes, you don't want to know. Like, that's funny. You don't have to be ethnic to be like, that's just funny. Like, you just... Right. I don't know. There's jokes that, like, I wish we had stuck to the jokes that work well.
Yeah, even like the low-hanging fruit, right? Like, yeah. I'm pretty fine with the joke about that one guard who takes Robin and a sneeze at their word, right? Leaves the dungeon, all the prisoners escape, comes back into the dungeon, it is empty, and then says a line that I can't say without breaking the teacher filter, so I will not.
Yes.
Fine.
He is upset. He is
Very
upset because he will be punished for the fact that he left and now suddenly all the prisoners are gone. But so that's exactly what happens, right? Robin Hood gets captured. He's taken to this dungeon where he's supposed to give up his king. But of course he doesn't. And he meets a Sneeze, played by Isaac Hayes, which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
You know, I want to say Isaac Hayes kind of took this in stride because Isaac Hayes has also done, you know, like he did South Park for many, many years. I mean, he's passed away now, but like he did a lot of like pushing the boundaries of comedy for a very long time.
Yeah.
So I feel like Isaac Hayes agreed because it was just like, that just sounds like fun.
Sure, I'll show up for 6 minutes.
Right? Yeah.
Bang this one out.
I also really like Isaac Hayes has some of my favorite jokes in it because Isaac Hayes is the first one to get tired of Robin Hood constantly talking. Mm-hmm. That was another Robin Hood joke. Like because Robin Hood always makes these speeches and these rousing things and he just talks for years and years and years and people are like, great.
Uh-huh.
I got it. I'm good. You know, like I especially love Isaac Hayes just being like, no, you have to go or you will miss the tide.
At which point Robin Hood jumps right into the ocean and swims all the way to England.
Swims from Africa to England.
Pretty funny. I love the map with like the little moving dots.
Oh yes, with the little row your boat. Like
now, before Robin sails to England, he makes a promise to a Sneeze, which is that he will find and then take care of a Sneeze's son, a Chew. Let's see these names. I can't with them. Like, what if we didn't make fun of every name that is a name that's unfamiliar to us? But anyway.
The only funny name that makes sense is Rottingham, because it's not supposed to be Rottingham. It's supposed to be Nottingham.
Yes.
But, like, no one's going to be mad. No one's going to be mad about Rottingham. Actually, that's not true. I haven't asked the English if they're mad about that.
Very true.
I shouldn't make assumptions, but I still guarantee you it's a place and not as bad as some of these other names.
100% agreed. Okay.
I would even include Mervyn. Mervyn's a perfectly cromulent
which
name.
Everyone laughs at.
Everyone laughs at his name.
It's fine with that. We have to move faster through this movie, otherwise this podcast episode is going to be 2 hours long.
So he arrives in England. I love the Hollywood joke. It's one of my favorites. England on the side of the Dover Cliffs. He rents a wreck, which is a horse.
Rents a wreck.
And he, he finds a Sneeze pretty quickly. He's being beat up by a Chew. Sorry. He finds a Chew.
It's Dogan Hogue all over again.
Getting, you're not wrong. Getting beat up by 5 white guards, which is very obviously a Rodney King joke.
Oh, yeah. I'm pretty sure that he being Dave Chappelle kind of makes a throwaway joke about wishing he had a camera or something.
Yeah, I hope someone's recording this.
Yes.
I think is the thing he says. Which I'm actually kind of inclined to let that joke go because I'm like, that's a perfectly fine joke.
Very happy with that. I like that there.
That's fine. Then they do some interesting fake kung fu to get rid of the guards.
I'm going to put that in the mildly racist category.
The praying mantis, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know if that's like a commentary on how good a fighter the modern takes on, you set something in like the Middle Ages and all of a sudden these people like know how to brawl in ways that they shouldn't. Like you shouldn't know how to make a roundhouse kick.
No, true.
You know what I mean? Like it's just fighting styles that you wouldn't necessarily see. And I don't know if that's Mel Brooks making a commentary on it or if that's just an unfortunate joke that didn't land the way I want it to in 2022, right? Regardless, Robin Hood kicks everybody's butt. Well, with a Sneeze's help. A Chew's help.
Yes.
I know. It is Hogan Doge all over again. Oh, no.
It is It's okay. It's true.
And brings him to his family castle, which unfortunately has been repossessed by King. Oh no,
Prince John.
Prince John, yes, by Prince John.
Courtesy of the Sheriff of Rottingham.
Yes. And we get to, the movie is just kind of a series of meeting people and kind of like a Katamari Damacy of like picking up a bunch of people as we go.
Especially in the first like 15 minutes maybe.
Right?
15 to 20 minutes. Like it takes a minute for Robin Hood and all of his merry men to actually get together. But we've got Robin, we've got Achu, and we meet person number 3, who is Blinken.
Oh, Blinken.
Blinken. What do we say about Blinken?
I mean, it's the ableism jokes.
It is, and it's so unfortunate because, like, who's playing the character? I don't even know the name of the actor, but whoever it is who's playing the character is actually using physical comedy extremely well.
I know.
Like the way that he and Little John play off of each other and the way that he's always kind of grabbing onto people and Little John is catching him. It's all done very well. But at the same time, the fact that it's all a joke about being blind just kind of leaves a bad taste in your mouth.
Yeah. It's just not great. That's it. I don't know what other thing I could possibly say about it. I mean, the only thing I think I like about it is there's you're able to make some of the jokes, like the slapstick and stuff is pretty disparaging, right? Him like falling through a door and thinking a statue is a person. For example.
No, that's what I mean. Like those things are wildly off-putting.
Yeah, wildly off-putting.
What I thought was done well, and it's annoying that it's done well, are like his interactions with the other merry men.
Well, because you also get to have that joke of like a blind man, all blind men having these superpowers of being able to catch an arrow out of the air, and then somebody talking, and he's like, "Who is that?
Who's that?"
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You're able to make those jokes, and I feel like it's so close. Like I feel like there's grades of Blinken jokes.
Okay.
Right? Like there's, him grabbing onto people to walk, which makes sense because the man can't see.
There's him attempting to get through the Merry Men dance.
Yes. Which I thought was hilarious. I mean, look, I don't like the musical number anymore for other reasons, but Blinken is not one of them. I just, like there's grades of the joke, just like the fat jokes. The fat jokes are also have levels and layers that go from like pretty offensive to like, all right, fine, I guess I'll give you that one. I
mean, listen, I'm not going to sit here and I'm going to go ahead and admit that there was definitely one of these jokes I laughed at, which is when Blinken is on watch.
Yes.
Robin sees him up there and says, "What are you doing?" And Blinken goes, "Guessing?"
I guess no one's
and
coming?
I was like, guessing.
Who put you on watch, Blinken? What moron?
What? Did I laugh? Yes. Was it great of me? No.
I mean, well, I'll put it this way. That kind of joke, though, is exactly the same kind of joke that Toph would make in Avatar: The Last Airbender. When somebody's like, "Hey, do you like my dress?" And she goes, "It's awful. I can't see it. I literally can't see what you're wearing. Like, it is that same kind of joke, right?
Yeah.
This is why I'm saying, like, if 10 jokes were made, maybe 2 are good jokes, and they're very funny. Which is an unfortunate ratio.
Right. And like if maybe the character had been handled more respectfully, like the way Toph is handled in Avatar, you can get away with a couple little jokes here and there. But when the character is handled this way, then it's a hard no.
The thing with a Mel Brooks movie is it's meant to be cheap shot after cheap shot.
Yes.
Like Mel Brooks really loves his cheap shots. You'll see this, like, a lot of the jokes. I know I showed you a couple of Mel Brooks movies. I know you haven't seen them all. But, like, some of the jokes are repeat jokes,
Yeah.
Like, the joke about the mole moving around on the king's face, on the prince's face, is a joke left over from, I think, Young Frankenstein, when the hump on Igor's hump moved from side to side. And he literally just reused the same joke. Because, like, he's the kind of person who just loves a good, like, he loves, like, a good who's on first kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, like, and he'll just...
Oh, and wasn't that line about it's good to be king? Isn't that from something else?
Yep, that's from History of the World Part 1.
Yeah, there we go.
He 100% just plagiarizes himself, which in some ways I think is very funny. But, like, again, you know, he's meant to have, like, cheap joke after cheap joke. And I think sometimes in a climate like the 90s, you know, you can have these jokes that are just disparaging after the fact, right? They'll be funny at the time and place they were funny. When I saw this movie, I was 10. Of course I was laughing. I was laughing at almost every single thing. But I was 10.
Yes. And 80% of this movie is people, like, tumbling over each other.
Exactly. But anyway, so we pick up Blinken. We meet Sheriff of Rottingham, I believe, by this point.
Yes, we do.
Who, I'm not sure if they're kind of poking fun at people with dyslexia or some form
That's how I read it.
Yeah. And
which brings us to category number 9. See, we're going to get to 12.
Is it 9? Wait, is it already 10? Isn't it 10? I think it's 10.
Oh
no, it might be 10. I don't remember. Listeners, please get at us.
Yeah, we'll
our
count
number's
after.
Wrong. We'll count after. Yeah, no, and I have to say, these are still my favorite jokes from this entire film. I remember these jokes verbatim. He dared to kill a king's dare is the funniest thing, and I will say it over and over and over again. You know what I mean? And the one from the banquet hall is also one of my favorite. I feel like I think about that at least once a week.
Oh.
That one. One of the funniest things I have ever heard. And also, I mean, you have Roger Rees saying it, who's hilarious.
Yes.
That actor. So, a little side, I promise, like a little behind the scenes. He did all that sputtering. And, you know, like because his energy was always so high, the guy who played the sheriff. And so he was always like, you know, and when Robin Hood, like, leans into Marion's hand, he's doing that, like, right behind her head. And the actress was like, it was so difficult to keep a straight face. Because all I could do was, like, hear Roger, like, spitting into my hair. Anyway, so we meet the Sheriff of Rottingham. Again, a very thinly veiled, like, we're going to chalk it up to somebody either with aphasia or somebody with, you know, some kind of dyslexic something, who just can't quite grab the right word when they're talking. Which, again, is not exact, doesn't make him good or bad. Don't like that they made that a villain. The thing that a villain had. Not a huge fan of that, but here we are. I think after that is when we meet Little John and Will Scarlet.
Yes, but before that, we meet Maid Marian.
Oh, we do meet Maid Marian. Oh no, is this category 10?
I don't know. How do we feel about Maid Marian in this chastity belt situation? I don't think that it's like, I don't think I'm gonna put it on the same level of offensive as anything else that we've mentioned, but it is just like,
Do I think it's funny that in the year 2022, we've kind of, the conversation has gotten away from, like, there is no virginity. You know, like, there's people who have had sex and people who have not had sex, but, like, virginity is not a quantifiable thing on or within your person. To have a physical chastity belt, I don't know. There's a part of me that actually kind of thinks it's still funny because it's just so off. It's so weird.
It's so weird and it's so exaggerated.
Yes.
I think the fact that it's so exaggerated and the way that the movie ends kind of saves it. And the fact that she Maid Marian is so eager to get the thing off. Adds to the joke and makes the joke funny. Like, she's in on it.
Right.
Like, I love the line where she's like, "Oh, I can't, like, I can't go any further unless we're married. Or he really cares about me. Or," it's like,
I do like that
and
she
finally ends with like, "Or he's really cute."
I know. Oh, if he's really cute. I got my
Buddy.
Weirdly, not pretentious, because she's not pretentious, but I got my naive sort of princess voice from this particular portrayal of Maid Marian, because I love the way she talks.
Yes.
Oh, I also happy.
I like that she's not actually super naive.
Right.
You know? It's just...
Well, and in this way, isn't she much like Isabella?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she's not like Isabella in the way that Isabella is a fighter and somebody who speaks for herself and that kind of thing, right? But, she's definitely not an idiot.
No.
I don't know. I enjoy Marian. I kind of forgive it.
She's not an idiot, and she is... Honestly, she pretty much has control of her narrative for the majority of this film.
Right?
Which... I mean, I'm never going to be upset about a female character who has control of her own narrative, and this one does.
I will say this, there's also something about a Mel Brooks movie that, he gives a voice to women that I don't think people fully understand. That is just not present in other movies and other TV shows. Women in comedy in his stuff is I don't know. For a long time, for me, it was kind of gold standard. Even though a lot of it, again, is this schmaltzy joke upon joke upon joke and cheap jokes. But, they're still funny.
Yeah.
They're still hilariously funny. I think I'm okay with the chastity belt, honestly. It's such a cartoon moment.
Yeah, I agree. I think because it's cartoony, and I think because she's in on it, and I think because she wants to get rid of it as much as everyone else does.
Exactly.
I'm here for it. You know?
The jackhammer is hilarious.
The jackhammer. The jackhammer.
The jackhammer for me was always the funniest thing. It's not even going to open with that, bud. Okay. But back to the plot real quick. I mean, this is also where we meet Broomhilda. We've kind of already talked about her, so I'm not going to talk about her that much. But, her two modes are being fat and being obsessed with making sure that Marian continues to hold on to her chastity.
Until she's married.
Until she's married.
And that's Broomhilda, in a nutshell. Moving on.
I know.
We meet Prince John, finally.
We meet Prince John, who's played by Richard Lewis, who is also one of the funniest, most sarcastic comedians of our time. Richard Lewis is just hilarious, a hilarious dude. And also, honestly, kind of a mood through this entire movie.
Yes.
Another quick behind the scenes thing is that Richard Lewis actually suffered from Hep A toward the end of filming this.
Oh.
So he had a very, very bad fever, and he was he had I think 1 or 2 shots still left to do.
Yeah.
And I actually think it's when we meet him. And he that's why he's sitting in a chair. And if you look, he looks a little sweaty.
Oh.
He was supposed to be pacing around and stuff, but it's let's sit him in a chair.
What if he were in his throne while he was receiving this very bad news? Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah. Because he had totally 106 fever.
Part of his character.
But again, he exudes I am so done.
I'm so
everything.
done. And he just kind of maintains that energy for the entirety of the film.
I know.
Which is why I don't think that first scene really stood out to me as unusual.
Right? It's so good. I also really love the jokes in that first scene. I love the well, maybe if you give me the bad news in a good way. It won't be so damaging. And then Roger Rees does the worst job. The Sheriff of Nottingham just totally messes it. And it was so funny.
It was good.
Oh my God. Everything with the two of them also have such great on-screen chemistry. I can watch them talk to each other forever.
They really do. Even just little things the two of them hiding behind the pig at the banquet. Hilarious.
Save you, hurt them, got it. Yeah.
Okay, and then we meet Latrine.
And then we meet Latrine. Now, Latrine also has 2 modes.
Uh-huh.
She's funny, weird witch woman.
Yes.
Where she's genuinely funny. I know she's a cook. But, like, which is genuinely fun. Like, those parts are genuinely funny.
Yeah.
Or she's completely obsessed with the Sheriff of Rottingham and super gross.
That's gross. We already talked about the gross. We can talk about the funny.
I love her name change. Which, again, we can't say here because we're trying to keep the show clean. But if you know the joke, then you know.
Then you know. If you know, you know.
My favorite thing about that also when they put this on like daytime TV is all they did was like, oh, we actually changed it. Oh, you changed it to Latrine? Yeah. And they cut it there. And the guy goes,
oh, really?
It's a good change. And I was like, I mean, choices. Choices are being made.
Joke.
Choices are being made. That's not the rest of the joke, but sure.
There's a clean version of this film.
That's one of the clean jokes.
That's very funny. Did they cut out the line from the prison guard at the beginning?
Yes.
Like they only cut out the cussing?
They cut out, I think they had the first, because he comes in and he has that, and then he says the rest of the line. So I think they kept that beginning part. There was a lot of weird stuff. Like they would also just bleep things. And I was like, but we know what that word is. You're not really doing anything. Also, did you watch this on Hulu?
No, I watched it on HBO Plus.
Oh, sorry. I watched it on HBO Max.
I'm at Max.
When the horse neighs underneath Broomhilda, did you get a caption?
Not that I remember.
Yeah,
no,
I didn't get
not.
a caption either.
Am I supposed to?
I distinctly remember a caption being when the horse neighs that says she's got to be kidding.
Oh. No, that did not come through. I didn't see that.
Yeah, I didn't see it when I rewatched it, but I distinctly remember that this was part of the film. So I don't know if in the re-release that they decided against that. But there's a part of me that almost makes that better for the joke because it's like if a horse is going to understand that you're going to jump from a high balcony and a horse has to understand how much weight it can actually carry. But also you're jumping from a high balcony. It's almost fine. Like, I would almost accept that joke, even though, yes, it is terribly fat-phobic. But, like, whatever.
I mean, her making a crack in the ground was way worse.
Way worse, right?
Way worse. Yeah.
You're so big that you crack the concrete when you fall on it. Like, give me a break. Anyway.
Little John.
Little John. And Will Scarlett O'Hara.
Ooh. Who's from Georgia? Wink.
Do you have an opinion about that joke?
Which category does that joke fall into?
You know what? I don't know.
Does that fall into the I don't know how to feel about this except deeply uncomfortable category?
Probably.
I don't know how to feel about this, but I also don't understand why it's here category.
I think that's just one of those things that's like, it sounded funny. Right?
Yeah.
Will Scarlett. And then, like, you can add the O'Hara and say you're from Georgia. Like, you just add that in because of Gone with the Wind. Like, I'm not saying it's a good joke.
And then have him, like, wink it at you. I'm like, ooh. Ooh.
We're from Georgia. If only he wasn't so very, very attractive.
So upsetting. Deeply upsetting. Deeply upsetting.
On multiple levels. Upsettingly attractive.
What about Little John?
I love Little John, though.
I love the bridge fight.
I do, too.
The bridge fight was spectacular.
This is the one. There are like 3 moments where I'm like, thank God for Dave Chappelle, because he delivers the I'm on the East Bank, I'm on the West Bank perfectly.
East side, West side. Yeah. Yes, that's one of the few things critical. He did well.
It's not that critical, and the way he says it has been rattling around in my brain for the last, like, 30 years. Like, there's something about the tone he uses that I'm like, yeah, that makes sense.
I should start saying that at work and see if anyone figures out what I'm doing.
You should.
It's just not that critical.
It's just not that critical. I love the fight. I love the way the fight ends.
Yes.
Because I love that John thinks he's drowning in this tiny crick of a stream.
But I also love like the stick getting smaller and smaller,
Yes.
and how it finally ends with them like not even bashing the stakes against each other, but instead with that like little kid hand slappy game.
I know. I do love that it's Robin who instigates that.
Yes.
Robin is like, I don't have enough stick to, aha, I can still do this. So they gather up Little John and Will Scarlet. And so now they have a very, very small band of merry men.
And that's pretty much our main cast, though. You know, like, we do get the rest of the merry men once they actually put the word out to the villagers, and the villagers gather, and we have our little training, not montage, it's not really a montage.
No.
But we have, you know, some training scenes. But this is the main crew, you know?
And this is the crew that goes to help him out at the castle, even though he's like, I have to go on my own.
Yep.
So he goes to the castle, and he meets Marion, and it's love at first sight.
Love at first sight.
And
she's immediately taken with him.
Yes.
The sheriff of Rottingham is incredibly jealous.
Yes. Very, very put off.
Prince John couldn't care less.
I mean,
couldn't care
Prince
less
John,
about most things.
Prince John waits until he is very, very insulted.
Yeah.
Until finally it's like, okay, guards, go do something. Although I do think it's very funny that he waits until Rottingham hits the point of, you know, not being able to, like, handle it, challenges him to a duel, and then throws his guards at him. Like the coward he is.
Like the coward he is.
Now, I will say this about this movie. There are some things that are really solid.
Uh-huh.
The fight scenes are one of them.
Yeah.
Like, even though there are jokes interspersed, like, the fight choreography is actually really good. Like, legitimately. It's very swashbuckly. You know, the sword fighting is just very solid.
Uh-huh.
There's so much about it that, like, it also continues to tell the story. Like, somebody obviously sat down and watched a bunch of swashbuckling Robin Hood things and was like, aha.
And pieced it all together and made some of the things into jokes. Like the chandelier falling, where Robin misfires and the chandelier lands on him. Great. Love that. Actually,
What a good joke.
I really like the fight scene around the gallows, too. I thought that was done really well. I think I liked that one even better than this one.
That fight scene was very good. I like the fight where it's just him and Rottingham one-on-one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because it's both equal parts ridiculous and also skill. And there's something about the way that Carrie Elwes plays Robin Hood of this very, like, just in that very classical hero sense.
Yeah.
Like, the classical hero of Robin Hood would never question himself, you know, except when he does, when he's like, I lost? Wait a minute. I'm not supposed to lose.
Let me check the script.
Let me check the script. That's a very Mel Brooks joke. Very Mel Brooks.
It's been a while since I've seen The Princess Bride.
Uh-huh.
But it's interesting because he is playing a swashbuckling hero in this film, but it's not the same hero that he's playing in The Princess Bride.
No.
Like, I think that he does very, very well.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Like, that he has created a separate hero character in Robin Hood. And I'm trying to put my finger on what exactly makes him so different.
I mean, there's a face that Carrie always uses when he's Robin Hood. Anytime he's sword fighting or anytime he's, you know, quipping back and forth.
Yeah. He
always has this, like, perfect little smirk on his face.
Yeah.
And it's not, like, people don't look like that. It's just not a realistic facial feature. Like, can you imagine going through your day just, you know, just, like, smirking at everything? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Watch us do this all day tomorrow just for fun to see if people notice what we're doing.
You know, I mean, my favorite is he almost can't not smirk, right? Like, he has this whole moment at the very, very beginning of the movie with a sneeze where, like, a sneeze says we have great strength of feet.
Yeah.
And the smirk falters just a little bit, but he doesn't even drop it. And he's just like, I don't follow. And he's still smirking. Like, it's hard to explain. It's like, it's just a very, I recognize him as a very fantastical hero archetype in this movie in particular. And I think he just does a really good job with it. And it's not even necessarily anything that, like, any of the words he says. It's just like the way he carries himself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which
although
it is some of the words he says when he's finally able to actually talk to a crowd, and he turns into Winston Churchill.
Okay, yes. Well, that's the next scene anyway, so we might as well get into that, right?
They're trying to get
Robin
a bunch of dudes.
And the A-team escape from the banquet hall. Robin Hood blows Maid Marian a kiss, which Broomhilda interrupts.
Catches.
Fine.
Yep.
They exit dramatically, and so Little John has sent word to each village. Each village has sent their best men, and here we have the remainder of the merry men finally gathered together. Robin Hood puts them to sleep with his Churchill-inspired speech, at which point Achu gives it a try. Is this a Malcolm X joke?
It's a Malcolm X.
The glasses.
He's 100% doing a Malcolm X.
Okay, yeah. Rouses the crowd, and, then it's on to training time. The pantyhose joke from the eggs. Great pantyhose joke.
What a good joke. More of that, please.
More of that, please.
And they don't know how to shoot arrows. They don't know how to joust.
Nope.
They're just very bad at very many things. But they have their little band of merry men out in the woods. Uh-huh. And who should come along but Rabbi Tuckman?
Played by Mel
Brooks. Everything about Rabbi Tuckman I love. There is not anything, no notes.
No notes. I mean, maybe 20% fewer gay jokes.
Sure.
But otherwise, no notes.
I mean, my one of my favorite things about his gay joke in particular, which is why I kind of accept it, is he literally just asks if they're gay.
True.
And you know what I mean? And it's just like, no, we're straight. Just marry. And
just marry.
And I'm like, okay, fine. And then he kind of drops it. You know what I mean? Like, he eventually is like, the ladies love it. Also, to my point from Gallivant of the matchmakingness that is just ingrained in Jews, where he's just like, Luxie and Miguel, you can't miss.
I love that joke, actually.
It's such a good joke. But also, that's literally every Jewish grandpa. 5 minutes after you meet them, it's like, oh, are you available? My niece.
You? Ah. It's a match made in wherever.
In Sherwood Forest. I also just love that he's friends of her parents, so he already approves of the match. It's all very Jewish. I love that he tries to sell them on circumcision.
Yep.
I don't know why I love it. I can't actually put a finger on it. I should be sort of grossed out by it and weirded out, but I'm not.
I don't think so. I don't think it's gross or weird. I think it's funny. The ladies love it. All of them are like, me, I'll take one.
And then he shows them what it is, and they're like, no, thank you.
Actually, I like Blinken's throwaway line here where he goes, I'm Christian.
I also like that line. I think for a very long time I didn't realize he was saying I'm Christian, and then I watched the movie 10 years after it came out, and I was like, did he just say he's Christian? I love that he shares his sacramental wine with them because sometimes you just want to get drunk.
Yeah, and that's why they invite him to join them.
Yeah. Again,
to
no
share
notes.
Wisdom, counsel, and wine. No notes.
No notes. But again, this is peak Mel Brooks. Mel Brooks of doing Jewish jokes and this is where he really shines because he's been doing that by the time Men in Tights comes out for the last I want to say 50 years, 40 to 50 years. That is his bread and butter, those jokes. And so of course it's going to be really good. He's just solid.
This is a sweet spot.
Yeah.
So then we get to Don Giovanni, who we already a little bit talked about when I dropped the fact
Godfather jokes that I haven't seen Godfather, so I actually don't know those jokes.
I've seen the first one a very, 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 very long time ago.
Okay.
I understood that this was a Godfather joke, and I understood the cotton ball thing.
Yes. Oh, I thought the cotton ball thing was actually really funny. If anyone who's heard, Brando in Godfather is just get the cotton balls out of your mouth, buddy.
Exactly. I understood that.
I also
understand the lizard.
I like that as he's talking, you can tell he put them in, like, as he's talking, he gets floofier and squishier. And he's like, I'm sorry, I can't understand you. And then he takes out cotton balls. Like, that whole scene is just Dom DeLuise making hilarious joke after hilarious joke.
Yep.
I thought they were very funny. I understand if you didn't understand the lizard thing.
Yeah, whoops. I guess I just missed that particular idiom. I'm going to call it an idiom. I don't feel that it actually is, though.
You are more likely to know what word belongs there than I am. Because I really don't know. I've never known the difference.
Drain the lizard. Ridiculous. How have I gone my entire life without ever hearing that phrase?
Or maybe it's just something people said in movies, for all I know. I don't know.
Have you ever heard someone say that in real life?
I mean, I don't remember.
Because it wouldn't... Now I'm just going to listen to it for it. I'm going to listen for it for the rest of my days.
You should listen for it. I can just imagine, like, 20 years from now, you send me a note.
He said he drained the lizard. I heard it, Joy, in the wild.
But yes, so he has two men, one of whom is a very sort of thinly veiled Clint Eastwood version. And the other one is just meant to be like a dumb goon, but who just so happens to be very good archer.
Yes. Like, this is sort of like the young cousin type from the Godfather movies, exactly. I assume. You know?
Yeah.
At any rate, they come up with this harebrained plan, which is that they are going to organize an archery contest at the tournament, and Robin will obviously not be able to resist. Luca should be able to beat Luca? Ezio? I don't know who's who. One of them is going to beat Robin during the archery contest, and the other will snipe him from the top of a tower.
Yeah.
Which, fine. Here we are.
Marion and Broomhilda overhear this. They rush off to tell Robin. We got a little bit of fat shaming in the middle. And
made Marion taking her narrative into her own hands.
I know. They arrive at the camp. Everything's fine. Marion's like, just, you shouldn't go. And he's like, okay, I won't go. And then Marion's like, they thought they could lure you in with an archery contest. And he's like, an archery contest, you say?
And so they were right. He really, really can't resist.
I just love that it's not even that they offered him anything. They literally just had an archery contest and he couldn't resist.
He has to be the best.
Like, way to be basic. The best. Right. But like, this is his flaw, right? Like, he's egotistical and he's kind of conceited. But like, you don't see that if you're not looking for it, right? But like, that's where his quips come from. Like, that's why he's able to like talk back to Prince John, and that's why he's able to like get Rottingham's goat, and that's he's like, really good at that because he thinks he's like God's gift.
God's gift to the earth, the planet. This is what he and Gallivant have in common.
Exactly. This is what they have in common. But like, unlike Gallivant, he is very much more the classical hero type where like he doesn't have any body odor. Not that I can tell. The man's never had a bad hair day. The man's never like slept in. Like he has a work ethic that doesn't make sense. I mean, apparently he just can't jump, but like that's the only thing he can't do.
Yep. Jump and no, just kidding. Open Maid Marian's chastity belt, apparently.
I know. Can I tell you what bothers me most about that is that Broomhilda is so not here for Robin Hood opening up the chastity belt, but totally nowhere to be seen when that frickin' jackhammer comes into play.
Yes! What? I can't get there yet. Okay,
I mean, unless it's just... It's fine. Yes. We're skipping ahead. I mean, we're skipping ahead because we're over time.
We've skipped 2 songs. So let us briefly just mention that the songs happen. The Men in Tights song, which we discussed, sort of.
We actually skipped Marion's song, too. I really like Marion's song. Do you like it?
I'm fine with
I think it's sweet.
I like it. Yeah.
So the Men in Tights song
is fun. But I think the over-the-top ballad is probably my favorite.
Why wouldn't it be?
With the silhouettes through the sheet. All of the men gathered and watching and like cheering him on and providing him with the background vocals. The background vocals were on point.
I know the ooze. The ooze are great.
That's my favorite song.
I do love the windswept moment in that song. That's my favorite song, where he has the sustained note and she's being blown about,
trying to get her crown back on her head and look pretty.
I also, I'm not gonna lie, I like the joke of when he leans in to like be even closer to her, and you hear the clunk against the chastity belt, and he's just like, okay.
Oh, you mean afterwards when they're alone. See, I thought that you were about to say that you like the very tropey sword joke where all of the men
I do
are like,
also like that.
And then it's revealed that is in fact just his sword. I was like, listen.
I do also like that because why are you turning your sword that way, sir? Why? There's literally no reason to do that. It's just because it's funny.
Just because it's funny.
Because it's funny.
Was it low-hanging fruit? Yes. Did I laugh at it? Also, yes.
Absolutely. Why wouldn't you laugh at that?
Okay, so they have their little moment by the trees. There's a little clunky thing. I'm going to add Robin randomly deciding to say goodbye in a variety of languages, one of which is definitely fake Chinese, to the umbrella that is racist jokes, and then move on.
It is fake Chinese, isn't it?
Yeah, it's fake. It's just the way it's racist joke. Moving on.
All you could have done was look up how to say goodbye in Cantonese.
All of the other goodbyes were actual goodbyes. We couldn't have looked it up in Mandarin or Cantonese or whatever.
I know. My favorite thing is the subtitles have write out each thing, like bonsoir, ciao, all of them are
whatever,
written
yeah.
out. And then it just speaks Chinese.
Because it's garbage.
Because it ain't. Like, why do we even have that there? You could have also just looked, whatever. I said it. I said it already.
I told you I'd get you to 12 easily.
You would. I feel like we've hit 12. I feel like we're already there.
We're like past 12.
We're past 12. So the merry men come in drag so that they're not noticed to the festivities. Robin is supposedly not there.
He's also in disguise.
He's also in disguise. But not as a woman, as an old man. And he only really shows up for the archery contest.
Yes.
We have the archery contest. He loses, and then has the infamous, wait, I'm not supposed to lose. Checks the script. A fourth wall break,
says he gets another shot.
I love very much.
Everyone else is like, wait, what? And they all pull out their own scripts. So good.
Yes, he does. I love that so much.
Now, we talked about most of the things in this scene already, because we mentioned the whole crowd, racist action. We mentioned Blinken catching the arrow. We did not discuss the Patriot arrow.
Yeah, which I'm assuming has to be a Patriot missile, which also makes everybody do the wave.
And then explodes the center of the bullseye.
Yeah. I think the joke there was the wave, and that was the only way to do the wave.
Oh, interesting.
You know what I mean? Like a Patriot arrow, which will always find its mark. So even as Robin shoots it up into the sky, it's going to come back around. And it just so happened to come back around through the entire crowd. I think that was the joke there. I'm honestly not entirely sure because it's a little obscure.
I mean, it's okay. We're not here to do like a deep dive critique on this movie. We're just here for a good time, Joy.
Very true. So,
okay.
Nottingham is about to take him out.
Yes. And arrest him and have him executed. When all of a sudden, Maid Marian stands up, again, taking control of the situation. Love this for her. And says she'll marry the sheriff as long as he doesn't kill Robin. There's the Fox message. This 21st century Fox message.
I know. I don't know. There was something about it I really liked.
It's so cute.
It was such a cute
funny
fox.
Little chittering noise it makes as it runs away.
I like that he was constantly biting the person holding him because he's just a fox. Let me go.
I like that the little canister on its back is obviously put in upside down and makes absolutely no sense.
I know.
Because they fill the canister from the bottom rather than from the top. And so the instant the fox runs off, the message should absolutely just fly out the end of the canister.
I know.
All of it is good. All of it is fantastic. Which brings us to the gallows. My favorite fight.
Yeah.
But we can talk about other stuff at the gallows, too.
I like the Abbott jokes.
Him speaking in Pig Latin. Which other Abbott jokes?
Him speaking in Pig Latin. Him coming down the, hello, Abbott. Good morrow, Abbott. Oh, good morrow. Hey, Abbott. Still one of my favorite jokes. God, I hate that guy. I also like that this actor is a staple of Mel Brooks movies. He was actually he was in Spaceballs. He played the king of Druidia.
Okay, I don't really remember. I mean, I've seen the movie precisely once which is when you showed it to me. So I don't remember this particular man very well.
Perfectly fine. I'm trying to remember if I wrote anything in particular about wait. A wedding and a hanging. Either way, we'll have a little fun. I definitely wrote that down. Oh, the clicker for the gate. I enjoyed the clicker. There are a couple of automative jokes in this movie. One of them was the clicker for the gate. The other one was the club for the horse, which I also thought was very funny. Because the club was, oh man, how do you explain the club? For you kids who are a little bit older, in the 90s, one of the ways you locked your car and prevented theft was you put this mechanical piece that you locked with a key so that your wheel wouldn't turn. And if you can't turn your wheel, you can't steal the car.
Yeah.
That was the idea.
I mean,
but cars these days don't really do that.
True.
No, but like they don't have a thing that like if you lock it, like you can't lock it in place anymore. Like the wheel doesn't have a, you know what I mean? Like it's a specific time and place with cars where the club actually worked.
Okay. I think I'm betraying less my age here and more the fact that I understand very little about driving in cars. Because I'm literally trying to picture a steering wheel and I'm failing miserably to understand the difference in the mechanics here. I'm like, it's just...
This is how you know we've gone too long and we've talked for too long. Oh no, we're both getting tired.
When I can no longer imagine what the steering wheel on a car looks like and why that would make sense. Yes, we have actually, in fact been recording for too long.
Exactly. I think one of the other reasons the club sort of went out of fashion is because you had a lot more actual alarms in cars and a lot more GPS of how to find the car. So like, you know, in general, you know, people might be stealing cars, but there are other ways to actually retrieve the car other than locking a steering wheel. I don't actually know the history of the club. I just know people don't really use it very much anymore, which I'm not entirely sure why. I just assumed it had to do with the way the steering apparatus was made.
And I feel like it's probably, I mean, I don't know. Again, I'm having trouble picturing why that would work in one situation versus another, but I think that's just me not understanding cars. But I also think it's just because we have so many better security systems now.
Right.
Okay. We have to talk about the end of this movie because we are so close and yet like 15 more things happen. Like 15 more things happen. We can just, I'll start rattling through them. And we can be like, stop when we get to one you want to talk about.
Okay.
There's the fight at the gallows. The sheriff runs off with Marion. We've already talked about how while the jackhammer is very funny, the non-consensual sex is not.
Right.
Right? So there's the fight between Robin and the sheriff, which also we have talked about.
Which we've also talked about. So good.
Excellent fight. Love the shadow puppet moment.
So good. Oh, the executioner. The executioner is great fun. Obviously a dude who just wants to be making jokes and doesn't want his day job. Or enjoys his day job, but not as much as he enjoys, like, you know, making just the
gallows humor?
Yes, the gallows humor. Exactly.
Okay, we get the sheriff accidentally breaking open Robin's locket, which we forgot to mention right at the start of the film. I'm pretty sure we get this locket like 7 minutes into the movie.
Oh, as soon as you meet Blinken.
Yeah. And it's the locket that holds the key to the greatest treasure in the land, which, here's the big reveal, is apparently the key that opens up Maid Marian's chastity belt. So there we are. The key fits in Marian's lock, and he is the man she's been looking for all along.
Because it means it's just the right size.
It's not the size that matters, it's how you use the key. At which point, the sheriff basically, he dies. He runs into Robin's sword and he dies. Well, almost. Latrine saves him with a magic pill, and now he must be married to Latrine for the rest of his life. She drags him off. There's more non-consensual sex.
Which,
this
by the
time,
way,
off screen.
The thing she saves him with is an actual lifesaver, which I appreciated.
Yes.
Continue.
Okay. Robin carries Marion to bed. Broomhilda interrupts, says they have to get married first, and we get the second appearance of Rabbi Tuckman, which I'm not upset about. Fantastic.
Married in a hurry. Married in a hurry.
Followed immediately by King Richard.
Who is back from the Crusades.
And is played by Sir Patrick Stewart.
Yeah, no, which I 1,000% was super here for. I'm pretty sure he's doing a Scottish accent.
I think the only other Robin Hood I've seen is Disney's Robin Hood.
That's
which
fair.
is an embarrassing thing to admit. There's probably
it's not
at least,
embarrassing to admit.
I mean, there's probably at least one more Robin Hood
That's
thing
what
that
it
I've
is.
seen
He's
and forgotten
making fun
about,
of Sean Connery because he was playing King Richard in Robin, Prince of Thieves without changing his Scottish accent.
Oh.
Which is like, but you're an English king
of England. Like, maybe what if you didn't have a Scottish accent?
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
All right.
Sorry, and I just thought that was very important. Anyway, yes, I love the appearance of Sir Pat Stew. Here, he brightens up the movie every time. I always forget because he comes in at like the last 5 minutes and steals the whole show. And I'm just like, oh, yeah, that's right. And then he's there.
Like, the movie's practically over.
He also kisses the bride, which it's good to be the king. And then they get married.
Oh, Prince John is dragged off to the Tower of London, and all the toilets in the kingdom shall henceforth be known as John's.
A very important point.
Robin of Locksley becomes Sir Robin of Locksley. He's knighted by King Richard, and all of Sherwood is returned to him. And then the two of them get married. Achu becomes the new sheriff of Rottingham. And the movie's basically over, except for the post-credit sequence in which we discover that the key does not, in fact, open Maid Marian's chastity belt. Yeah. And they need to call the locksmith. Which is fantastic. Because it's like the entire movie didn't need to happen.
I know.
And yet, here we are.
And
that's
I've got
it.
an idea. Call the locksmith. And that's the
Robin
movie.
Hood Men in Tights.
I mean, I feel like we talked about everything, but do you have any one more things?
How do we even get to one more thing? Hopefully, by some magic, trim it down to a reasonable amount of time.
That's a pretty good one more thing.
I'm going to count, I suppose, the number of actual categories we came up with, and my best guess is that it is, in fact, over 12. But who's to say?
That might be true. Hang on. I'm going to see if I can find one.
Okay.
I mean, the one that I was going to say is Prince John being a mood.
That was a good one.
Oh!
You could...
I got one. Okay.
Okay, amazing.
The peanut guy at the...
guy.
At the arrow contest. At the archery contest. The peanut guy that's just like, hey, get your peanuts here, who's obviously from baseball. Like, just plucked from a baseball stadium. He was great. Loved him. No notes. That guy. And there's my one more thing. We did it.
We did it. We did Robin Hood Men in Tights. Hey,
we
watch
did.
my back.
Do you think it's like Gallivant?
No.
See?
I guess the only thing that makes it vaguely like Gallivant is the fact that there's a hero, and the hero is there's a villain opposing said hero.
Uh-huh.
And the hero is interested in a princess, and there's maybe, well, in Gallivant, there's actually kind of two princesses. Well, one's actually a queen. So, kind of no. Like,
I mean, there's two King Richards, but they're not even the same character.
They're not even the same character. The plot is very different. The music, I mean, I guess the fact they're both, like, vaguely, quote, medieval and have music in them could bring some people to say, like, oh, they fit the same category. But the sense of humor is very different, too.
Thank you. That's
like,
why
I know
when
that
people were...
is raunchy, but it's not, like, it's not the same.
No.
This is much sillier.
This is why when people were like, it's like Robin Hood Men in Tights to you, I was like, oh, that is a bad comparison.
You're like, no, it's not. Like, maybe on the very, 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 very surface level, like if you squint your eyes.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Or if you watch the trailer for Robin Hood Men in Tights and you'd be like, yeah, maybe.
If you watch the trailer and literally the first 12 seconds of Gallivant and no further. Like, only the first 12 seconds. Like, before you get the twist.
Right?
Then these two things are similar.
I mean, I will say, like, the Jewish episode in Gallivant obviously has a lot of Mel Brooks overtones.
Yeah,
because
but I don't think that that's what people are alluding to when they say that these two things are similar. That is for sure nowhere near the top of their minds.
I know. And I don't know how people can make this comparison and think it's good.
And yet, here we are.
I know, and I'm not, that's not to, like, come down on any of your friends who were trying to give you an idea. That, not at all. I'm just saying it's, you could start there if, first of all, if you had that as a frame of reference, but then you could just add on to that, right? Like, you could be like, Robin Hood Men in Tights, if Robin was, you know, not exactly a real catch as he seems to portray himself to be, right?
Right.
And if Maid Marian was more of a badass.
Uh-huh.
Was more of an awesome fighter. You know, things like that.
If King Richard was two entirely different people, one
Right.
of whom couldn't care less about anything around him, and the second of whom is, well,
Extremely insecure.
extremely insecure and a bit of a sociopath. I mean, also
Anyway.
there's a queen.
Also, there's a queen.
Also there's a queen.
You know, it's just it's like saying if you went to like themed restaurant, was it that was like medieval times?
Okay.
Like if you went to medieval times, but it was a musical and also there was a king. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
It's about as close as medieval times.
I thought that you were about to say it's about as close as if someone was like, "Oh my gosh, have you ever been to medieval times? You should go to a Ren fair." And I'd be
Yes.
like, "No."
Correct. This is the exact same level of comparison. And on that note,
And on that note, listeners, we would love to hear from you. Please check us out at Binge O'Clock Pod on Twitter and Facebook, where you can answer the question, who is your favorite Robin Hood? You can also email us at bingeoclockpod@gmail.com. And don't forget, we have a Patreon. Find us at patreon.com/BachPod.
that's right. And tell your friends, tell your family, tell your loved ones, tell the live lobsters in your life about Binge O'Clock, and we will see you next time.
And a happy new year to everyone. 2023.
Yes, a happy new year to everyone. So we are recording this. This is our first one of the new year, even though this will not be your first Bach Pod of the new year.
Ah, true.
But we do what we do, and it's fine.
It's almost as if we could have planned for that and then we didn't.